Welcome to today's stream, and today we are going to look at Git and GitHub. So, as you all know, a few days ago I posted about GitHub and why it is important for developers, of which a large percentage of us don't know how to use GitHub inside our terminal. And the best way to learn GitHub and Git is through the terminal. You can use GitHub using the graphical user interface. It might be very convenient, but we need to learn how to Git from the terminal, because when you have that administrator job, you might not have that fancy graphical user interface you get from modern IDs. So the best thing for you to do is to learn to work without them, because if you don't learn to work without them, then you would have to depend on prompts from chat GPT or Gemini or somewhere, and that is very bad, because the more prompts you get and you insert in your code in your environment, the less you understand what you are actually doing. You keep putting and pushing codes into the system, into the application, and then when something breaks, you don't even know where you started and where it is going to. So learning source control is one big advantage to any developer, and that is why we want to start learning it from our terminal. Now, on an important note, I'm not a professional in this, but I'll just use the small knowledge I have to teach you whatever it is. I'm still going to use VS Code, because we are going to have a code base where you would see things displayed, and using a terminal is not that much practical. So I would have to use my I would have to use VS Code in this very tutorial. So without wasting time, I'll go ahead to set up my VS Code for what we are about to learn. So let's call it GitHub Masterclass. So the code base will be empty, everything will be empty, so that we'll be adding things as we go on. That way all of us will understand this. So I'm not going to good. So if you can see this, the smaller screen might not display everything well, but I think what we are having on the screen is enough for everybody to understand. As you can see, my VS Code is not new. I have installed it before, and a lot of things have been configured here. Now, what is Git? Git is like a source control. Remember, back in the days when I started development, because I started using GitHub in 2018, I didn't understand Git, but I used GitHub creating repositories, pulling, cloning, and doing a lot of things. Now, previously, let's say you have a code, hello.py. Now, this code is supposed to print hello So this code is supposed to print hello world, but somehow you want to make changes on this very code to include a lot of things. But this time, hello world is here. This is the only thing it was doing. And then things are going to be added, maybe user input, maybe some outputs. I'm receiving a call. So we have this code base, and now we want to make changes. Now, by the time I add a lot of things on this very uh, code base, we might lose count of what exactly we were doing. So, let's say, imagine that I wrote 5,000 lines of code here, and then tomorrow I accidentally delete everything. How is it possible for me to recover this? So without GitHub, I would have to keep creating several folders, like, okay, project one, project final two, project final, project final real, and things like that, just to keep track of what I've been doing over time. But Git helps solve that very problem. So Git remembers everything. It remembers every file. It remembers every changes. It remembers every author. It remembers every date, and it's every deleted line is remembered by Git, and every line that is added is still remembered. So the moment anything changes on your code, Git remembers it and understands that there is a change. If a file is deleted, Git knows that it has been deleted. So Git is just like a time machine for codes. Now, the difference between Git and GitHub is that many beginners will usually confuse these two, Git and GitHub, because Git is a software installed on our computer, actually, and it works offline. It tracks our histories. Then, while GitHub is a website, it stores Git repositories, and it stores it online and allows for collaboration with remote users as well, and it allows for backup. So imagine that I'm working everything, doing everything on this very system, and then tomorrow I'm in another country, I'm in another city where this computer is not found. So it will be difficult for me to continue my work, but with when Git is combined with GitHub, it becomes very powerful that I can be able to work anywhere on my code, and by the time I return to this very system, I can continue from where I left off in the other world. So that's it. And then if I want to communicate, let's say we have a team, but and each team is working on a different thing. So me as the developer, I'm working on this very file, and then I have another person who is working on this file, this very file, and then maybe 10 other people working on different parts of this very project. Git allows with GitHub, it allows us to be able to collaborate allowing this person to be able to work independently on this file and add it up to the project. Another person works on a different file and add it to the project, and so on and so forth. And that is how convenient it makes things to happen. So it is very important to note that Git can, with when it combines with GitHub, it allows us to be able to collaborate seamlessly across multiple devices and locations. So the next thing is for us to see how to install Git. I'm working on a Linux system. This is my Ubuntu system. This system is Ubuntu, and since I'm using VS Code, I can still spin up the terminal and do whatever I want to do from here. Okay, so if you don't have Git installed, you can install it on your system. For Windows, you need to download it from the for Windows, you need to download it from Git's portal. You download from Windows, it's called Git Bash. So let me see, I want to bring up my MBL browser. So let's say you search for Git Bash. This is where you download. You download for Windows, you download for Mac, you download for Linux, or you can build from source. So a lot of professionals build from source because they might have a device that cannot support any of this, or maybe there's a newer one that is not built. So because I'm on Ubuntu, I use apt-get install Git. If you are on other almost every Linux distribution has a version you can install. Then on Windows, you just have to download the executable, or maybe on an ARM device, you can download this one, and they have the portable version and many other things. Wingate, you can use Wingate to download on Windows, and many more. So that's it. This is how you download Git. Now after you have downloaded Git, the next thing is to check the next thing is for you to check if it's available. So on Linux, first of all, we have to update our system. So I have 4 packages. So I understand that my Ubuntu system's fan is running non-stop, so it will be interfering with what I'm doing, but I believe my voice is audible enough in any case. So just pay attention to what we are doing, and we'll be able to work through this successfully. Great. So my system is upgraded. So to install Git, we just have to sudo apt. We can install Git, but since Git is already installed on my system, nothing would happen. Now, after you install Git, the next thing is for you to set the configurations for Git. Now, Git configuration, without it, you can't start using it. So you need to set some global configurations first. You can also set system configurations, and you can also set user base configuration. And if you are confused with anything, you can spin up the small help version for Git, and it tells you what you need to do. Then if you need a more detailed help, you can git dash help. This one gives you more explanation if there is. Now if you are on Linux like myself, there is a tool called TLDR. Now TLDR allows you to get information about a better information. It's just like it's just like putting up the manual, but this time TLDR will give you with examples and in a short form, so you don't have to suffer yourself trying to look for instructions. So you can use the TLDR Git. It spins up in the browser, so sometimes it shows up on the terminal, I think. So let's say it says you can create an empty Git repository. So this is a very comprehensive example of how you can use Git. So you know one of the powerful commands you can use on Linux. So let's proceed. Now that we know that Git is installed, the next thing is to configure. To configure your Git, you call Git and tell it to configure each of the settings. We call it the global. We need a global setting, and there's a global setting that there are two non-global settings that you need to make, but there are others. So the first global setting you need to make is the username, and the username you put it by user.name. So that's what the global setting is called. And if the name is not single like Nelson, then you can set it in a quotation so that Git knows exactly who is making the calls. Now the next one is Git config dash global. We have user dot email. Now if you set the user email, you can put it in a quotation, example at whatever. You will now be able to, let's use the email. My email is public, so you can reach out to me via this email anytime. So this is the email. Now, but if you have configured your global settings and you want to see what's there, you can use the -e flag and it shows you. We have an auto CRLF, and this is for Linux. For Windows, the option is true, but for Mac and Linux, you put it as input. So we have credentials, and that's to tell, because the way it reads new lines on Windows is different from Linux and Mac. So you need to tell it on how to treat it. Because on Windows it adds a character, but on Linux you don't need it, so you should tell it to remove it while you are trying to receive any Git proofs, if there was a Windows proof. So this setup is enough, and it's on the core category. Then we have the core where you can set the defaults. As you can see, it's using Vim to display this, and to exit Vim we need to use Ctrl X. So those are the settings that you need to start working with Git. The global setting for username and the global setting for email. So now that we have our global settings set up, the next thing is for us to start tracking our changes. Now to start tracking our changes, we need to initialize Git. Now we initialize it by saying Git init, just like we saw it from the command TLDR. If we click Git init, you see that seems nothing happened, but there's a change. You see that my text, my files up here have a UUU, which means they are untracked. Okay, these files are untracked. Now that we have already set up, we have installed Git, and on Mac you can use Brew. And if you go to the Git site, you would have all the instruction that is needed for installation. You can check the version of Git that you have on your system. For you to check the version, you need to use Git -- version. So by the time you are using this, you might be having a different version, but this command still stays. So we have seen our Git image. Now the word tracking, it just means that Git is actually putting an eye on whatever you are doing. So we can also check our configuration by using git config --this. Git config --this. This is how we see all the settings we have inserted on our system. So next, so this stores our configuration in a file, and the file is in our home directory. So those configurations are saved in a file in our home directory, the home of this very system. Alright, so we have Git now Let's go to the next one. Let's check the status of Git status. Git status shows us the status of the files that are in the Git directory. We have hello world, you see it with red. We have hello.py, we have hi.py. They are all on tracked file, and that's what their status is. And for us to track it, they give us an advice. Let's use git add. Tracking means staging your file. Now Git has a file that was created, but it is not tracked. Now by the time you track the file, it means you are now putting it on a tray to put it in your bag. So you have now filtered it and taken it to a certain position. So we can add, let's track our tracking, let's track our file. Let's start with the first file. So git add hello.py. So what happens is that one file has been tracked. Let's check our status again. Yes, new file is now tracked. As you see, it's called Cage. That was an old language and still used on Git. And then we have two files that are not tracked. So we also have a wildcard. We can git add star. Star means all. So as you can see, all the files in our directory is tracked. But what is, we are not seeing any folder here that indicates that we had any changes, because Git's folder is hidden. You can only see it from the terminal ls-a. You will be able to see that there is a folder called .git, and this folder is not empty. It contains a lot of things. Let's try to tree in this folder. So you see that the current folder has hello and this and this. So we can check that very folder. So let's see. We have branches, we have configs, we have descriptions, we have fetch head, we have hooks, we have index, we have info, we have objects, we have reference. So all these are found inside that Git folder, and to return we just use the dot. So let's clear our window. That's what we now have from the system. Now our file is all our files have been tracked, but they are not yet saved. Yes, those files have been tracked, but they are not yet saved. So to save your file, we call it commit. So we don't have a branch, we don't have a commit yet. So the procedure for Git is that first the file is on track. The moment we initialize Git in a folder, your files are on track. Then you can track the files. Then the file is modified. Then the file is staged. Then the file is committed. So that process follows. Now that we have tracked our file, if we checked our status and we saw that all our files are now being tracked. Now last time I used a wildcard star to add all our files. So let's try to make our first commit. We have tracked our file. That means it has been staged. Now we can commit it, adding it to our Git repository. So for us to do that, we need to Git, okay, commit -m. M is an option that tells which message is so one thing you should note is that your message should indicate exactly what you did, and committing your file to Git should not be too often and it should not be less often. It must be timely and on an important update. So I shouldn't let's make our first commit. By the time we make our first commit, you see that we have okay master root commit. This is the ID, initial creation. Now 3 is the message. 3 files changed, 1 inserts, create modes, create modes. All these files were created in our Git. So if we Git status, you see that nothing to commit. We have a working tree and on the master branch. So we can check what happened if we check git logs. We saw that somebody committed the heads to master, and the author is this, the email is this, the dates they committed, the time, and the message they sent with. It's this. So now, like I was saying, I said you shouldn't commit too often when the changes are not that significant. For example, I just added a space here and then Git notified that this file has been modified. I can decide and commit this modification, but it's not that useful. So that way we won't be filling our bucket with useless things. That is why you need to understand Git very well, so that you won't be filling your bucket with useless things and then making things very complicated. So next, let's see we will now update our file and check some things. What update can we give here? Let's add a variable. Let's add a variable called name equals to, I'm not taking an input, It's just my chatbot. Nelson. My age 29. My company. My prompts. So I work with Masterclass as a business relationship manager. So we can now print allow the AI suggestion. So there have been a lot of modifications here. We added a variable, not just one, we added 3 different variables. Marital status. Okay, no, let's not use not. I need a boolean. Marriage. It's true. So allow the AI to update this. And so this is a boolean, this is a string, this is a string, this is an integer, and then we have an account balance of 100,000. So now that this file has been updated, we now have a modification. So let's check our status again. Git status. Okay, one file has been modified, and we can discard the changes or we can add it to our cache. So let's git add hello.py. Let's git status. So a lot of file has been staged for commit. So we can see commit this by git commit. What do we want to commit and what message are we giving? We are committing everything that has been staged. So the message is we added personal details. So we now have added personal details as to a file. One file has changes. There were 8 insertions, 1 deletion. So there are now 8 lines. That means it replaced whatever was there already. That means we now successfully modified our file staged it for commit and we committed it to Git. So let's check and see. We now have nothing to commit from our status, so we can check the change that was made by typing git diff to see because I'm in the graphical user interface. You might not see anything, but it's going to show. That's why we're using GitHub. We're using VS Codes. If we come to VS Codes, you'll be able to see all that had happened. Previously, we had this, and then later we had this added. It's in green. If we remove anything here, you would see it in red and see it in the next one, and that's how Git works. So this is the difference between the previous file and the current commit, and as we keep going, that's how it keeps adding up. Alright, so let's go back. So assuming what I entered is wrong, all I can do is to use git restore. If I use git restore, it brings back whatever was there before, and on stages we can also delete our last reset. We can delete our commit completely. The last commit that I made, I can delete it from Git. And sometimes, except if you are looking at the storage aspect, it's not advisable to use git delete. You can just return the file and make an update. So next is branching. So Git has the simpler we have created our file, we have staged it, we have committed it, I have checked the status and made modifications, added it to the stage and committed it again. But now let's look at Git branching. Git branching allows us to create a separate version of our code, but this time it will be only, it's just like creating a new folder and moving the whole code there, so that while you are working you don't spoil. Let's say you have finished everything and it's in production, you won't like to make modification directly on the version that is in production, so that you would have a fallback anytime there's a problem. Anytime there's a problem, you have a fallback. You have something to return to. So it's a continuous process, and it is something that you should take very seriously. So to branch, we use the Git the git branch command, and if you don't know how it works, you can use TLDR git branch. Let it tell us how to branch. Good. So we can do branch by creating a new branch name. Then we can create a branch based on a commit by giving it a commit hash. Remember when we checked the log, we had a hash. Then we can rename a branch by switching to a different branch before we do that, so that we move from old branch name to new branch name and things like that. Then we can delete a local branch. You must switch to a different branch before you do this. So we have git branch delete. So delete a remote branch, git push remote name, delete remote branch name, and things like that. So let's try to do this. We are not working remote, so we are working on our current branch. First, we have to create a branch. So to create a branch, we say create a branch by git branch. We call this branch name development. So we have the master branch, we have the development branch. Good. Now that we have created a new branch, we can check this. The development branch. So we are still on this is the last comment on the master branch. So we want to now go to the development branch. To go to the development branch, we use git switch development. So currently we are on our development branch. As you can see, it has been changed. So we have a master branch, we are on the development branch, and you can create multiple branches as much as we want. So now let's go to the next lesson. So let's import SQLite 3. Okay. So it's not found. Remember that for us to work with Python, we need a virtual environment. So let's create our virtual environment by using Python -m. We need venv, and the name is dot my my so that's what we have. We now created this. Let's check it, please. Right now we have a lot of on-track files, and they're about 1000, and these are not things that we need. Actually, they are not things that we need. We don't need them. Okay, we don't need this, all this, we don't need them, but they just added to the track because they are in the current working directory, and that directory is being tracked by Git. So how do we solve this problem? For us to solve this problem, for us to be able to solve this very problem, we need something else, and that file need to be in this same folder. That file is called git ignore. It tells Git what to not pay attention to inside our tracked folder, and to do that, let's touch it. So just in case you are inside in case you are inside your terminal, maybe on the server, you don't have anything graphical to work with, so you will need to learn how to create files inside your listing. So let's echo means I want to write into the file. I want to echo dot my env. I want to echo it into dot git ignore. So I'm trying to write dot my env into git ignore. Good. So the moment I did that, you saw the changes. Git automatically removes the bulky files it was trying to track and stage for commit. So it now only checked one. So let's try to add it. The last time I used the wildcards. Right now we can just git add dot. It means everything in the correct directory. Now that one file is being tracked, we can git commit. With the message. The message is that we created virtual environment and git ignore. Git ignore file. So that's what we did, and we now have a very good looking Git environment. Now, when you are in development, there are many other files that are not supposed to go to Git. Yes, those files are not supposed to go into your source control. And one such file is called a .env. um, .env file, and there are many others depending on the language you are using. There are many, but most times the .env, because the .env holds the environment of your development. So you actually don't like your secrets to be out on the internet. That's why you have to be careful with what you commit. And a lot of people through that can make a mistake to push their company secrets, and then people have already built bots that frequently scan these portals to see if there is any uh, person who has foolishly messed something that is not supposed to be seen to the internet. So that's how we fix things this way. So we created a modification. Remember that all those activities I was doing, I didn't save this file, so it was not added. So the moment your file is saved, it is now being modified, because it is not modified when you have not saved your changes. So what do we do? We git add this time is high. Okay, it's modified, and you can commit it. So what I want to say is that, you see, this with Git is not realistic for you to be pushing useless things into your branch. Sometimes you would have to wait until you have a major change and it's completed, then you push. People push once a day, 3 times a day, and also I know newer developers, you every save you make, you just try to commit, especially those who use the graphical user interface. Anytime you see one written here, you just come commit, write your message, commit. That's a very bad practice. Now, let's say this is an application that I'm writing, and this application is about this application might be about maybe collecting user data, saving the data, retrieving it, and displaying. But after writing one line, I commit. After writing one line, I commit. After writing one line, that is a very bad practice. I would wait until I complete the whole application, tested the model, and it's working. By the time the model is working, I can now commit this very model to GitHub. Same thing with this. I added all these, tested them, and by the time it's working, I commit. That way, your commit message will align with the activity that you performed. Recently, I got into a hackathon with GitLab. So we are working on projects, a lot of projects. So we have to work on a particular project that each of us were assigned and make changes to the file and commit it to GitLab. So that means whenever you make a change, maybe because of an issue that was announced, and then you make a change, what you need to do is complete your change, test it, then you push it and request for, we are going to come to that, and that's when we come to merging and others. So for this, we'll stop here. So previously, the command that was used was called checkout, git checkout, the name of the branch and things like that. But we can automatically create a branch and switch to it. Okay, we can automatically create a branch and switch to it. For example, I want to create a Streamlit application. Streamlit is a front-end dashboard development package for Python. So I want to create a Streamlit application, but this time I want to create it on a different branch because this branch I like it as it is. I don't want to add anything to it. So I can create I can git branch I can create a branch called frontend and then switch to it. But instead of doing it this way, I can git switch. Okay, let's see the name of the branch. So we created the branch and switched to it automatically. Let's go here. What do we have? We have the branch called frontend. So we created the branch automatically and switched to it. That's an easy way. So if you notice, all these activities we are doing, it's easier to do them inside the terminal because you have no control over your activities and you would understand Git better when you use the terminal rather than using your graphical user interface. We'll come to GitHub when we'll see how to change other things. So let's write a message. Now we are going to use the my battery's down and my charger is on the Windows stuff. So we created new front end. We now comment it. Okay. So all this while we are just Git, we have not gone to GitHub yet. So master development frontend. So we have 3 branches already here. And the same thing you can be able to check on Git branch. These are the branch we have. You see star. The star is on the one that is active. We have the development branch, we have the master branch, we have the development, the front end branch. So the front end is active and you see it's starred. That's what you should understand by Git's branching. So next we are going to look at how to match. Now we have 3 different project endpoints. We have the master, we have the master, we have the master, we have the master, we have the development, we have the front end. So let's try to, now this project is up to date, but let me just add something else. What I'm going to add is we are going to convert this hi.py to app.py. Git move. I want to rename it hi.py. I want to move it to app.py because I want it to change right inside Git, so it won't just be outside, it's right inside. So you can git commit, and on our commits we are going to add a message. Name entry points. So now that we have app.py, let's import stringlet. Stringlet might not be found. Let's import pandas feeling stringlets as st. Amazing. So we now have 3 inputs, but what we are seeing is that stringlets could not be resolved, it's not found. How do we fix this? Let's now use our virtual environment. Let's use our Python virtual environment to switch, activate our virtual environment. Let's use source. Remember, it's in my environment, and there's a bin folder, and there's an activate inside. So let's see what is inside. There's only one thing. So let's install stringlets. Pip install. We need to install pandas and also Streamlit and also SQLite. SQLite, I think it comes with Python by default, but anyways, let's have NumPy. So remember that as we are installing any dependency, it also installs others that it depends on. So you only selected 3 packages, but those packages will install many more. But don't worry. One megabytes per second. Okay, times 8. Those show 16 megabits per second. My Starlink is actually slowing down this morning, or maybe because some of my staffs are still using it in the office. So if you have not checked out malsonic.com.ng, some of these tutorials will be going into that. We are going to have training on DevOps, cybersecurity, and many other things. So register, and we'll be sending you important mails that will assist you on your tech journey. So we can start our application. Let's say st dot header. Let's have st dot header. Let's have st dot write. Okay. Streamlit app.py. Okay, for Streamlit we need to Streamlit app.py. So it runs this inside our local host. This Streamlit app that connects to SQLite database and many more. So this is not about Streamlit, this is about Git. So close this. So now that we have a functional application, we want to merge it. Okay, we want to merge it. To merge it, we need to go back to our previous. Remember, they have three branches: Git branch. We have three branches: the master, the development, and the frontend. We need to go back to Git. We want to merge this branch now. Git switch. We want to switch to master. Okay. Oh, we have not committed it. First of all, let's commit this very branch. Let's commit it by going to Git, as everything here. Git commits. What do you want to commit? We want to commit everything here with the message created Streamlit application. Great, so we have a boot of this. We can now switch to the master branch. So we have switched to the master branch, and you see what the content of the master branch is. Okay, it's very bare. It doesn't contain what we had previously, and as you can see, app, your DMV, and all this are not part of the master branch. So we need to bring in the content of the development branch and add it up to the master branch. How do we do that? We need to run the command git merge. Okay, we have a branch called frontend. So we are bringing in the content of the frontend here, and as you can see, we have a problem over there. 9,000 commits on tracked file, and that's the problem. So if we bring in the frontend, automatically the frontend comes in with the git ignore, and that means we are going to have a lot of changes here. So right now we have an updated master branch with a functional content. Okay, so now that we have made, we don't need the front-end branch. Yes, we don't need it anymore. we can decide to remove our branch. We had an assistant that told us we can get branch. I'm feeling a lot of cold. 3 branch, we are in the master branch. Git okay TLDR. We want to see what we can do. So now that we don't need our old branch, our front end branch, because we now have our we don't need our old branch because the current master branch is up to date. We can just delete our branch, and it says we can delete by git branch. We use the delete flag. The front end. So we now dial it and we deleted our front end branch. We need the development branch. It is part of the, so we don't even need the development branch because our master branch is up to date with whatever codes we need. So now our development branch is gone. If we check our git branch again, we have only one branch and this is the selected branch. So we have completed the merging. So now we'll go into GitHub. Okay, we're going into GitHub. Everyone, we are going into GitHub. My GitHub is protected by 2-factor authentication. My GitHub is protected with 2-factor authentication, and what I can do is to first go online, create a remote branch, and you can be able to push this local code into our remote repository. So I'll switch over to GitHub. I would have used my wife GitHub, but I don't think there's anyone who doesn't know how to use GitHub. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't know how to use GitHub, but nonetheless, Let's switch over to GitHub Fancy. So we are on GitHub. Okay, Amazon, we are on GitHub. To create a new repository, we'll click here, new. I'm going to create a new repo called GitHub Master. So GitHub Master is available. It's for Git tutorial. It's public. It has no templates. We are having a readme file. We are having a git ignore already. So the license, let's use which license should we use? Let's use Apache 2.0. So create Amazing. So now we have this GitHub remote repository created. How do we add our local codes to this? Please, I would have to exit and bring in my charger. I believe it's too low. Okay, I think I have the charger here. Okay. So electricity is actually very important in whatever you're doing. And so we now have GitHub created. We'll return back to our okay, GitHub is created. Let's return back to great. So we have switched back to our VS Code. So we want to add our local repository. You saw me, I already copied the remote repositories link. So what we do is we want to add whatever file we have from the local repository to the remote repository. So to do that, let's clear this. Now there's something that is not supposed to go to the remote repository. There's something that is not supposed to even be on Git, and that is .env. So the .env is not supposed to be added to our GitHub. So I'll just use the graphical user interface because we are working on something else. Let's remove the environment. Great. So what are we going to do? The command is we'll be switching between the two windows. The command is git remote add origin. Alright, we say git, okay, remote, we should add origin. Now when we call add origin and paste this is what we are telling it to do. Take whatever we have here and push it to this very link. Okay, it has now added the origin, and when we go to our Git, you realize that this link is now the remote repository, so that it will be able to track between what is offline and what is online. So now it is doing a lot more work than we had been doing before. So let's verify what we have. Git remote -v. So the origin is this, the origin is this. So we can fetch from here or we can push to it. So what do we want to do? All we want to do is to push, and for us to push, we need to push this current we want to push the current code from our branch to the main branch. I'll just take this command, it was pre-written. So git push origin to main. Main is what is the the branch on the GitHub. The main branch on the GitHub is called. Previously it was master, but now it's main. So let's push some reference file. Okay. Sorry, we are pushing our master branch. Good. So what did we have? Enumerating objects 24, done counting objects. So these are all total results, reuse, repack, whatever. So we have this. Remember that we have something else on the internet. We had readme files, we had readme files, we had the license file, and many others that are still on the internet. Okay, we have them, they're still on the internet. So let's push this. Everything is up to this. Okay, we have some things that are on the internet, but we we might not have them here. So let's go back to our GitHub and check. So for everybody, I'm using the stream. So because I'm on the free plan, I'm only able to do some things, not all. I'm only able to do some things. You see, we now have some updates. Okay, we now have some updates from our remote branch. What is it saying? The remote branch is complaining that there are two recent, there's a push that happened 2 seconds ago. Should we compare it and create a pull request? A pull request means you want us to join them together. Okay, this one is removed, but my environment is removed. So this is our branch. Okay, this is our branch. So our branch has been created. And added. There's no readme on this branch. And why do we have a .env here? Anyways, we are going to remove it so we can compare them and create a pull request so that we can match across of 2 branches. Okay, 24 hours ago. So let's return back to let's return back to so you remember how we did with our old branch previously. We take a branch, merge it into one, and vice versa. So we can try to do that. Okay, so if you come here, we notice that our master branch is here. So we can download changes from our remote branch. Our remote Git pull. So we are up to date Git branch. Our remote branch and everything is up to date. And we are going to see a lot of things that are possible. Okay. So let's see what Git origin remotes. We want to see what you can do with Git remotes. TLDR. Okay. Show information about remotes. Git remote ads. Change the URL of the remote. Show URL of the remote. Remove the remote. So let's see. Git remove show. We have origin. So we can also rename rename our remote remote files. We can get remotes. The whole name is origin remotes. Okay, we rename it. Rename origin to master gits. Great. So we will rename our nodes git to origin. So remove the remotes. And those are some of the things we can do. So git branch, we have the branch command tmdr. Okay, create a new branch on the current commit. Rename a branch, delete a local, delete a remote branch. So if a viewer from YouTube, so thank you everyone who is on the live, those who have come and gone. We have Abdulaziz Ainde, we have Joseph Afeso, we have Atu Kotsha. So my sound is actually complainable, but maybe when I get a better system it might be quieter. That's what I'm looking at. Maybe very soon I'll be changing the PC to a better one, more powerful, more battery efficient, more storage, more RAM. That way I can be able to do a lot of things without complaining. So thank you, those who have visited, those who have gone, and nice to meet you all. So if you have any question, you can put it in the comments. I will be able to attend to you when possible. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're almost done. This is a masterclass, but it's for beginner and intermediate users. There are some other things that we have to fix. So what I want to work on right now is the fact that on the remote, branch, we have on the remote branch we have two. We have main and master. Now, before we proceed, because we are going to do a lot of other things, we will go to GitHub. We are done with Git locally, even though we are going to work on the local PC, but most of the activities will move to GitHub. So we have two branches. Okay, we have two branches. Let's clear this. I'll switch to this. Okay. So this is what we have. We have the master branch and we have the main branch. The main is the default, the master is the one I just added. And now remember that the master has more codes than the main. So we want to bring the main branch too into our system. We want to bring the main branch too into our system so that we can work on the two. Okay, we can bring it into our system and work on the two. So what do we do? First of all, we have to fetch it. Okay, TLDR gives fetch. Okay. So remember we have two branches, main and master. On the local development, we have only the master. Okay, we have only the master. So I can just come here and fetch all from all remotes and things like that. But let's use our terminal. Fetch new branch from a specific upstream repository. Fetch, git fetch the remote name. So git remote, we have a remote repository called master git. Okay, so we can fetch all. Git fetch or we can fetch specific. Okay, but let's fetch all. So what did fetch all do? Fetch the latest changes from all the upstream repositories. Okay, also fetch tags from remote upstream. Probably if they were tags, they did local reference to remote branches that have been deleted upstream, and now git one currently shallow branch. So let's see git branch. Let's use this command git fetch master git, okay, main, update it with master. Refusing to fetch into branch reference head checkout at how do we resolve this? Let me return back to let's return back to our code editor. We are working on this. So since our local branch is master and it contains our project codes, the GitHub repository has a main branch usually because GitHub created a README. Now we want to mix both the README and the codes. So what we are supposed to do is merge the master into main. So let's check the branch first. Git branch, okay, we have the remote branch. Main. So we want to match them. Git switch. Let's work on the remote branch. So you remember that we only have a master branch offline. So let's track this remote branch. For us to track the remote branch, we need to create another branch. We need to create another branch that tracks the main branch. We're going to use the checkouts. we use the branch called main that class. The remote branch master git. Okay, so the new branch we are creating will be tracking whatever we have on our remotes. Okay. Let's check our local branch. We have the main branch and we have the master branch. We are on the main branch right now. So we can actually merge the content of our master branch into the main. Okay, that way we can safely git merge. There's a master branch. There's a lot. This is the intermediate part of this course, so it's a lot, and I might be stopping very soon after this because we have other functions to use GitHub, using it with SSH and many other things. So we are not able to track our main branch, but we want to make sure that TLDR git switch. So we can fix this on related history. Okay, you can fix this on related history. I think there's a flag. Use this one. There's a flag called allow unrelated histories. What we'll try to do is let's add this flag allow related history upstream. So we have fixed this issue. Okay, we have fixed this issue. Let's try to commit it. Git commit. The message is combines documents. This is a very difficult task to do because normally we don't always create this type of conflicted imaging. So your files are always working in sync. But when you fall into this type of issues where the file online is different from the one offline, the branch online is different from the one offline, and you have a lot of changes that have been made that is making your current branch to be unrelatable to the upstream, that will make it to even try to reject any pull. So let's go to the upstream. This is the upstream. So the upstream have seen some changes, as you can see. Front-end branch, our git ignore is not supposed to have the .env, but it has been pushed anyway, so we have to remove it. So we'll talk about GitHub actions, pull requests, and many other things in a future video. So in summary, what we have what we have done is creating Git initializing it, that is installing it, initializing it, implementing our actions. We'll look at cloning a Git repository, copy a Git repository, forking a Git repository, copying repository into a GitHub account, and many others. So I think we'll stop here for today. And if there are any questions, you will see my reply on whichever platform, maybe on YouTube or on LinkedIn. So if you're on YouTube, give us a subscribe. If you're on LinkedIn, give us a follow. Also follow the Summit. That's the company. Visit our website. So that way we'll keep in touch. Thank you everyone. Thanks to the stream, I'm able to stream this without any issue. I tried using Off Studio several times, but the noise was too much. I don't know if I have a noise suppression setting in the stream. It's my first few. So I don't know if my audio is better. I think I was using So it's been 2 hours and we have been streaming. Thanks for Starlink's help. If not, I won't be able to provide this amazing tutorial. Remember, we can delete our master branch if we don't need it anymore. We can delete its Git branch. We have our master branch. If we don't need it, we can git branch.a. So we have a main branch, offline, master branch. Offline we have a remote master branch and a remote. So we can so just like I said, if you use the TLDR, you will be able to get. So myself, I'm not a good developer. I'm just telling you because while training I have a small notes that I follow. I'm not a good developer, so I don't master all these things offhand. And what I do is I follow documentations, even though sometimes I'm very lazy with documentations. I prefer video training, but following documentation helps me a lot, and that is what a lot of us should do. So with documentation we can be able to make a lot of changes. So Let's delete our master git, okay, branch dash dash. We want to delete master. So we have deleted our master branch. Now if we list the branches we have 3 branches, so let's delete the remote branch. It says we will use the remotes slash master git slash master. Okay, we want to delete the branch that is on the internet, so let's switch to this. We will hide this. We are now on this branch. We would send a request to delete. Okay, I would select this. So we are trying to delete this because this one is now up to date. So let's return and click. It says it's not found. So we are using git push. Okay, and we are pushing to master git, and the branch we want to delete is the master. So let's switch and see the command. Okay, so this is the command git push. Let me move myself up. So git push master git, that is the remote repository name. We want to check the branch that is called master and delete it. So let's go back to our okay, so we want to delete the master branch. Let's see what happens. Amazing. Oh, so branch is not an option. Amazing. So it has been deleted. Let's check. There's a change that has occurred. Okay, so until our repository refreshes, we now have 1 branch. So automatically our application is working well, and we can just create our package. and save it. And so we want to create a release. The release title is Masterclass 1, basic Git and GitHub. Tutorial. Oh, we need a tag. We need to create a tag. The tag is version 1. So there's no binary. So these are all additional features that we have on GitHub. And if you have time, you can just come here, build your own, send a pull request, we check on it, merge it in. So if there's anything else, I'll get back to you. Thank you. I have work to do with GitLab. So nice to meet everybody that visited. See you some other time, maybe later in the evening if I have time. I would come back to stream, but for the meantime, that's all there is for today. That's all there is for today. This is our code. You can contact me, visit our website. We are still running a test. We want to do a lot of stress tests, and if you are interested, we'll secure a day so that everybody have access to the account and we see how much our resources will be drained. We are trying to move to a different platform for hosting, but increase our server, but we still need to know what's we have. Okay, so after we have Joseph, we have Abdulaziz from LinkedIn. Okay, there's no comment from YouTube. So thank you everyone, and I hope to see you soon for another amazing okay. All right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.